Episode 1. So I've been meaning to do this for a long, long time. Mainly to, honestly, I've been wanting to write a book for over a decade about my experiences, particularly one or two, but honestly, overall, it'll make for an even better book. But apparently, writing a book's pretty damn hard because I've tried and tried over and over again. So the podcast idea came in my head. I figured if it, worst case scenario, I'll bust out like 10 episodes. I'll organize my thoughts, and maybe potentially have enough for a book down the road. So yeah, been trying to do this for a while. Was gonna call it the Dungeon of Death, Machete Eddy's Dungeon of Death, and because of all my procrastination, local promoter, great organization, Heavy Hits, started in the dungeon with Heavy Hits, and I'm just too little, too late, I guess. So I had to come up with the hired gun, which kind of makes sense anyway, because it's primarily tour stories, and hopefully it will lead into more episodes and perhaps more guests. Honestly, most of my stories only happened in about 3 years, 10 years ago, so I know there's been a lot of guys since doing what I did, and I guess kind of what made my situation unique or special is I was what, 19 kind of whenever, at least whenever I was getting into MySpace and YouTube seriously with my band at the time, Cancer Whore. And if you typed in death metal drummers, there was not a plethora of a worldwide selection of drummers. Like, it was literally Derek Roddy, Romain Goulon, I guess is how you say his name. There's like a beheaded video, a decenter video. It was very limited. So I had a friend. It also wasn't easy to upload videos. It was a lot harder to upload videos. I luckily had a friend, Travis Neal, who was going to college to be a director, and he had a good camera and a good computer and was able to upload some videos early on to get my name kind of in the mix to help get me gigs down the road. But at first, it was just Cancer Horror videos, or whatnot. But yeah, there wasn't a lot of options. Like now, if you're a guitarist looking for a drummer or a band looking for a drummer, honestly, there's just endless dudes. Not only are there more people on the internet, knowledge has been out there longer, so dudes are just getting more badass quicker. There's like plenty of dudes that are young as fuck that are killing it. That's honestly, it makes a lot of boomers like me and older go like, "Fuck, dude, why am I even? Fuck it." I'm trying to keep up though. I got a few more years in me, I think at least. So I'm probably missing some stuff. I'll end up having a part two to this episode more than likely because I'm going to miss a lot of stuff. But I just kind of wanted to dive into at least my purpose for this. The first episode is the tale of Isaac, which is just like a lot of these episodes will be. It's like I haven't seen this dude in a long time. I'm assuming he's not dead. He's out there, and he's probably gonna see this, and maybe he'll respond. Hopefully, it'll make for an interesting little. Anyone who comments on this, whether it's on YouTube or Facebook, I'm gonna have a post show kind of to help because there's stuff that I'm forgetting, and I want to just kind of showcase people who were there, other stories or whatnot. So anyway, where should I begin? Okay, there's a band, Anomalous. At the time, they were like the baddest ass band on MySpace at the time, and they didn't have a drummer. They had crazy guitar. I mean, great band. Check them out, Anomalous, if you haven't. But they were signed to Brutal Bands, which was a badass label at the time. And I had made a cover video for one of the Anomalous songs, and that really got my name out there because as far as tech death drumming videos, it was at the time it was a pretty good one. It's kind of old and crappy now, but At the time, it was enough for people to go, "Who the fuck's this dude?" So, um, same time. So I'm from Shreveport, Louisiana. The closest big city is Dallas, Texas. It's about 3 hours away. The environment is from there. And over time of just partying and going to shows, I had met Eric Park, who was one of my better friends, drummer for Devourment. And Devourment also at the time was signed to Brutal Bands. So, yeah. Um, Scott and Jesse, they're looking for a drummer. They had some hiccups with a few guys. They reach out to Eric. Great drummer, more of a grind kind of style drummer, way better than me at that. But as far as fast techie stuff, that was just a little more my style, and he knew that, and he basically referred me like, you know what, this is probably your fucking dude. So he reaches out to me, and at the time I hadn't really done shit. One tour in Europe with Prophecy, for a month or so, month and a half or so with I Wrestled Bear once, like a week with Psychiatric. So I was pretty new. The biz, I suppose. They didn't know who I was. Let's put it that way. He refers me, and I go, "Oh yeah." Like, it's pretty much how I was. I'd always say yes. If it's a cool situation, hey, and Incinerate. So Scott from Incinerate owns Brutal Bands. So I didn't go there. So yeah, owner of Brutal Bands, reaching out to Eric to play for the president of Brutal Bands' band. Now I have an opportunity to play for that band. And he's like, oh shit, okay. So I had it was called the Brutal Domination Tour DVD. And honestly, old Incinerate is like old Suffo, Deicide, old school for sure. Kind of just like, like just kind of nothing too crazy. I hadn't heard Anatomize at the time, which was the second album, and it kind of got their sound going a different direction. I'm thinking just old school, whatever. I'm like, I got this shit. So I get the CD in the mail. This guy, right? Jesse. I'm like, yo, Eddie, right on. I'm down. Okay. So he sends me a CD. And maybe my thoughts are foggy here, but I don't remember having heard it yet. I'm thinking old school shit, drum machine, whatever. I get it in the mail, and this particular day, my friend Cody Parker, shout out, great drummer, was hanging out, and I had a nice house. Like my dad was a amazing keyboard player at the time. He was in a doing well country band, and like half the bands lived in this big mansion of a house and a huge jam room. And I was like, I had like a little side room connected to the jam room. A lot of bands had stayed there over the years. Awesome place. So it was during that era. So he's hanging out, and I had a friend, and granted, it's a long time ago. I'm not condoning this kind of behavior. Anyway, we had some acid, and I'm like, hey, bud, you want to hang out, use some acid? He's kind of a younger drummer guy that looked up to me, I guess, ish. I don't know at the time. But anyway, yeah, cool guy. We're hanging out, dropping some acid. I'm like, hey, I'm supposed to do a tour with this band. I'm going to check it out. And like, it's already kicking in. We're like, fucking like. And I put it in, and there's this, intro kind of goes, kind of like reverby or whatever. And then it kicks in, and the first beat is so weird. I can't even I get it now because I learned it. But at the time, especially tripping with this dude, and he's like a Meshuggah, Jellinger type drummer. He's good at like tricky drum beats and shit. And he's hearing the drum. It isn't like it's just going past him. He's hearing the drums with me, and we're just like, what? And it was like so tricky and weird, and like, dude, I did not think I could play it. It was so, and that was the first song. That's not even the hardest song. So we literally sat there all night just listening to this album over and over again. Oh, I'm getting thirsty. Sorry. Listen to this over and over. Mind blown. All right, so whatever. Now I realize Darren Seska, he had done the Arsis album, and I knew there was hype on him and that album at the time, but I still didn't really know him because Arsis isn't like too crazy, but his work on that was definitely great. This was kind of a whole nother level. He was also in Goratory, which it was pretty much like Goratory-ish type of stuff, and it was very difficult. So yeah, I go the next day. I'm like YouTube and Darren Seska, and I remember writing Eric going, "Dude, have you ever YouTubed Darren Seska?" And he's like, "Yeah, dude." Which, so he knew how hard this shit was. I didn't know how hard this shit was yet. So I'm just trying to figure this shit out. And so I fast forward. I'm trying to make my little audition video, and man, I'll try to find this footage if I can. I don't know if I can, but honestly, it's a terrible video if you ask me. I couldn't match the video at the time. It was harder to do at the time. But Depravity, I think, was the song. Could be wrong. But I remember I was just trying to keep fucking up, and I was like, dude, 37 fucking takes. I'm like sitting there just like, fuck. And I had this on tape. Man, I lost all my footage. RIP. But I used to have tapes, bag full of tapes of like just so much shit. I got robbed. I'll go there another day. But man, I had this on tape, and I wish I could put it on this video. But so I'm sitting there, I'm like, fuck, just all pissed off. And there's a Devourment poster on my wall right in front of my drums. Look up at it, and there's a picture of Eric, kind of like, man, you fucking do that, like. And dude, I remember like looking at it and going. Also at the time, like Eric was kind of helping me out, and I wanted to make him proud, definitely. So yeah, I remember looking like. Fucking, I won't say I nailed it, but I fucking nailed it good enough to send them something for them to go, okay, this dude's fucking trying. He can do it, And sure enough, yeah, I sent it. They loved it, all that. But I remember being so defeated, and that hasn't happened drum wise too many times. And there's a couple of big ones, and I'll get to that another episode. But this is one of those times where I'm like, I just don't know if I can do this because I just come from a kung fu background, strong-minded, just believe in myself. Like that's my thing. Is like I just know that even though it's hard, if I just keep practicing and doing my best, before it's time, I'll fucking get it. So yeah, there I was, sitting on the fucking plane. Couldn't, just talking myself out of it. I still wasn't confident with the tracks. There was like 9 songs I was supposed to learn. Maybe I learned 7 pretty good. There's a couple that I just, I'm constantly going over it. I remember just thinking there, like sitting on the plane going, now's my time to fucking quit and just walk away. I'm like, am I going to embarrass myself by going? Or am I going to make something of myself? But, I had been working hard for like over a month trying to learn this shit. So I just went with it. I stay on the plane. I go to St. Paul, Minnesota. I land. First person I see is Isaac, 40-something-year-old dude, old school punk from California, living in Vancouver, moved there after 9/11. Just conspiracy theorist out the ass. Everything's a goddamn conspiracy theory. Chemtrails, fucking 9/11, all this shit, constantly. Always some shit. So I'm thinking that's Jesse. I walk up, I'm like, hey, what's up, dude? I didn't say Jesse, but I knew he was for me. What's up? He kind of brushes me off, makes me feel like a fucking chump or something. I'm like, okay, it's kind of weird, whatever. We go out. Jesse's in the car. He explains that we got to basically kill time today. Scott has some family issue or something. So he takes us to his bar, like his stomping ground for the area. It's kind of a preppy bar. And Isaac does not like preps. Like I said, fucking skater punk from California. Apparently, he used to fight preps all the fucking time, according to him. You know, rough childhood, Vietnam dad, beat him, used to beat the shit out of him, all this dumb shit. But so I realized when we get there that I have an expired ID, and they're not gonna let me in. So I'm like, hey, don't worry about me. I'll be in the car. You guys go have fun, whatever. And time goes by, 30 minutes, and I don't know. And all of a sudden, I got shit. I feel my guts bubbling. I've been flying all day. Something's about to happen, and I don't want to be in my boy's car. So I'm like, oh shit. So I walk. There's like this abandoned restaurant next door. I go behind where I can't see anything. I'm walking. I can feel the fucking weight getting lower and lower. It's fucking time. And I'm like, oh, fuck. I pull my shorts down. Blah! I'll fucking paint the goddamn concrete. I'm sitting there like, fuck. And I look down. There's like a fucking Super One, like a weathered Super One food sales paper, like the shit you get in the mail every day, and people just throw this shit away. This is like an old fucking dirty ass piece of paper. Wipe my ass with that shit. Walk off like nothing happened. Get in the car. Eventually, Jesse comes out and's like, "Hey, man, I'll let you in." I'm like, "Oh shit, okay, cool." um, fucking Isaac's getting wasted already. And I remember the main thing is I look over, he's talking to a girl, and I watch him fucking just like his fucking dick out. It's like this goddamn big. I guess she was like dared him to, and he's just like, "You think you be my dick out?" She laughs. I'm like, "Oh my fucking god, he's pulling his dick out." I remember like he wears a backwards hat. He's kind of going bald pretty bad, so I guess he took his hat off. She said, "Nah," he pulled his dick out. Now she's laughing at him. Now he's getting mad. He's making a big fucking scene. I'm going to Jesse. I'm like, "Dude, it's already getting fucking wild. We need to fucking get bounce probably." And like, it's kind of a blur. Really, my main memory is just looking across the room and just watching him pull his dick out and being like, "Whoa, dude." Okay. So we go home. He takes us to Brett Roller from Roller Guitar. It's like Jesse's best friend growing up. Super cool dude, martial artist, great painter. His whole house is just fucking walled with like murals of like naked chicks. He's just fucking does a lot of like naked body art and shit. He did the Second the Angels cover art, which is Incinerate's first album. He did that. Anyway, he has like a basement where he does his art and stuff, and he's letting us sleep there for like a whole month while we're doing this whole tour. Very nice of him. Didn't have to do it. Not making any money. Just being a cool friend. So Jesse gave us that speech, hey, respect my friend. He didn't have to do this. Blah, blah, blah. So he's wasted. Isaac's fucking wasted. He starts doing goddamn barrel rolls. And I have to explain also, in this little dungeon where he does his art, there's a huge fucking like aquarium fish tank full of fish. Is wide as the fucking room. Huge fish tank, however many fucking hundreds of gallons. Massive. He has like a moldable dude that like you for painting so you can get their body structure correct or whatever. He's halfway through this painting. Fucking this little moldable thing that he's using for a reference. This goddamn dude does a barrel roll, hits the fucking wall, knocks it over, puts it back. I'm like, oh my god, this is fuck. Keeps fucking like talking about his dad and like all kinds of weird shit. Barrel rolls, drunk barrel roll, hits the fucking aquarium, makes it rock. I thought for a moment the goddamn aquarium was gonna fall over and crash. Holy shit. It was like the gnarliest first night. And I'm like, God, like what the fuck is wrong with this guy? Definitely issues. So the next morning we're trying to kill some time. We whatever. We go to the park. We're just walking around town, we're just killing time. And then we go to the coffee shop and we're sitting there. And somehow or another I mention that I didn't learn the little intro part. It's a sample. I didn't even think we were gonna play it. I thought it was a sample. And he fucking loses his shit. Like, what the fuck? You didn't learn the goddamn intro? It's on the CD, isn't it? And I was like, what? I mean, I can learn it. It'll take me a few minutes. Like, I know how it goes. Chill out. But he got really intense. Oh, chill the fuck out. So I had a basic deal with Jesse and Scott. They flew me out. I want to say it was like $50 a show. Okay, we'll follow you out, we'll give you a place to stay. $50 a show, we'll drive you around. Yeah, sounds cool to me. So I'm sitting there talking to him, and somehow or another I mentioned like they flew me out. And hold on. And he realizes, we both realize that they didn't fly him out. He flew himself out. And I'm like, I don't know what's up with that. And the truth is, like, they hired me and he basically like volunteered, so that, that's, you can have your own opinion about that, but he's like, yeah, I'll play bass for you. Yeah, like he just volunteered all this shit. And I was kind of seeked out. And, I just, that's just, I had these deals, $50 a day, whatever. Well, he gets pissed. This shit ain't fair. And it immediately starts like a downward spiral of fucking bullshit. So we end up having our first jam, and we're thinking, hey, we're going to Scott's house. We're both expecting just brutal band posters everywhere, just CDs, boxes of merch just everywhere. And granted, he does have a lot of that shit, but his house ain't that way. His house is just like any old suburban wife and 3 kids. Fucking, they don't listen to death metal. They hate that shit. And it's, the jams were really uncomfortable. His like kids are running around. His wife's like bitching at him. Didn't want us there to begin with. You could clearly tell. And it was just kind of weird. So that plays out. The first jam's okay. Whatever. So we're back at Brett's house, and there's a laptop for us to share. And he just keeps showing me like all his, hey man, have you heard of this band? Have you seen this? I'm like, cool, cool, cool. Well, it goes on for a while, and finally I have my little opportunity to check my shit, show him whatever I'm doing it. And he's like, oh wait, hey man, have you seen this? Hey, let me see that. Let me show you. And I probably did roll my eyes or some shit. I mean, it wasn't a big fucking deal. It was like a, sure, it sure as fuck wasn't like huffy and puffy, and it sure as fuck wasn't like fine. Or it was definitely like, sure. Well, he fucking looks at me like, you fucking serious? I'm like, yeah, what? And he like loses his goddamn shit about how much of a smartass I am and this and that. I mean, honestly, don't even remember what he was. I just remember I go, sure. And he took that as like fucking rude, smartass, and he fucking kind of exploded. I basically smoothed it over what I thought. I'm like, yo, I didn't mean it like that, dude. I haven't been on a computer trying to look at my shit. I mean, it's cool. Like, I'm curious about what you've done. Whatever, man. It's honestly not even a big deal. Like, whatever. So it gets dropped. I thought I was smoothed over. Okay. So we get to the jam room the next day, and he goes, okay, now that there's a mediator, and Jesse wasn't there, by the way. Now that there's a mediator, Scott, I want you to know that this motherfucker, and I'm like, whoa. Like, once again, I don't even remember what he said really, but I just remember the finger in the face, and he's like, just don't do it again. Just don't fucking do it again. I'm like, bruh, I'm not used to people talking to me like this. I want this to work out. We all came here for one common goal here. This tour that's already booked. I don't want to let Scott down. I don't want to let Jess down. But I ain't gonna have this motherfucker just fucking pointing, fuck you, and I just don't really. There's a lot to these stories where it's like I'll get so mad that I just straight up black out. Like I don't even remember what the fuck. I remember that shocking me, getting really mad and confused, definitely considering hopping off my stool and like fucking going 110%. Having the devil on the storm, the fucking angel over here. And I'm like, what am I trying to do? I don't know. It got smoothed over somehow. We get through the jam. We go back home. Whatever. It's fine. Jesse shows up, asks me about it, and I'm just kind of like, yo, dude. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck's up with this guy. Like, that was uncomfortable. It really pissed me off. I can't. I'm not gonna have some motherfucker like we're gonna fight. Like, it's that's the reality of the situation. We all flew in here. We don't know who the fuck each other is, or each other are, whatever. And shit. But that's the gamble here. So we end up working it out, one way or another. But he's getting more and more pissed off. So yeah, to paint a clearer picture for you guys, it wasn't a month-long tour straight. We were staying in St. Paul. They flew me and Isaac out, or they flew me out, and we're staying at Brett's house, and we're having like Friday, Saturday, Sunday like, weekend tours. Basically, we're like, do a weekend this way, come back. Do a weekend that way, come back. Played some really cool shows. Played a bunch of weird ones. We played the Central Illinois Metal Fest that year. Blasphemer and so many good bands, so many good memories. It was really cool, but we also played some weird stuff for sure. So it didn't take long before Isaac was getting really stressy about the money situation. Like, I don't know what he was planning on doing when he came in. Like, he knew what he was getting into. He didn't know that they were paying me, But once he knew that I was making money, he was upset and he wanted to make money. So he's basically put his foot down, went to Scott's house unannounced and demanded money, and he basically said no. I mean, he had already been doing so much stuff already that Scott wasn't gonna put up with it. He's not gonna pay him money. So Isaac just started drinking. I think he was like a recovering alcoholic, possibly, and I don't know. But once he made up his mind, he was gonna start drinking and try to prove a point about how fucked up he can be. He definitely did that. So we had probably like 10 to 12 shows that month. And what's even more crazy is Jesse, the singer, he had to work. So most of the time he would like drive to fucking Wisconsin, play a crazy show at 1 in the morning, drive back to fucking St. Paul, drive to fucking wherever the fuck. It was called the Anatomizing the Midwest tour. We fucking went all over the goddamn place. So, I mean, he definitely worked his ass off on that tour and showed that he was dedicated to do whatever the fuck. So, anyway, I'll jump ahead. I know there was a Wasco's Campground, I want to say. It's in Wisconsin. It's basically a trailer park out in the fucking sticks with a stage. And it was gnarly as hell, for sure. I kind of was at home being a trailer park kid, It just reminded me of home a little bit, but there were wackos everywhere. And I mean, they took care of us. They had kegs, endless beer, lots of bands. There was some cool bands, and but the main thing that stands out, and it's not really so much with Isaac. This is probably one of the parts where, I mean, we were friends. Things were just brewing. That like it wasn't all bad. Like, you know what I'm saying? But this is one of the times where we as a band had to stand together, I guess. But there was this guy. It's the show's over. There's a big bonfire. There's like people from every state, just drunk as shit. And there's like this fucking Viking dude, beard and a mohawk, jacked as fuck, no shirt, sweaty as hell, completely wasted, and keeps like fucking mean mugging everybody, putting his head into people, fucking breaking boards and fucking throwing shit in the fire and fucking just acting like Rhino or some shit, just fucking or whatever. And I mean, he's making everybody goddamn nervous. I was just kind of ready to fucking toss his ass in the fire if he came at me. Honestly, I remember I was sitting there. He started kind of getting in my shit. I'm staying calm. The guys are really nervous. Isaac's kind of like ready to help if he needs to. And somebody's like, hey, he's the drummer for Incinerate. And he's like, oh, it's cool. So I got out of that one. But this dude was fucking like, his friends beat his ass. Like 3 dudes, not like smacked him around, beat the fuck out of him, broke his jaw. Like I had to take him to the hospital. It was bad. So that was fucking gnarly. And it was like a bunch of stuff like that. I remember we played Barnyard Brutality Fest. There was like 30 bands from all over the place. It's literally a barn, and the potential was there. Like, it was a cool spot out in the cornfield somewhere. Some dude with a gun, like private property. Very unique, very dangerous. A bunch of grindy, crazy fucks. Everyone's drunk as fuck. Yeah, it was one of those nights where Isaac got drunk, stormed off. Like, I don't even remember the memories. All I remember is the feeling of the next morning of just being like, God damn, this dude. It's like he's just walking around drunk, talking shit to everyone, like punching shit. I mean, just getting in people's shit, just making it like embarrassing us, dude. Like, it was a lot of that. Just like every gig, it was like, I hated that he was with us, because we're all trying to be somewhat professional. Fuck, we're real death metal guys, but trying to fucking fight every goddamn body and shit. We have to. But yeah, it was like night after night of that. Where are we at here? Cool. And this is probably the most epic story of that tour. I've told it at least 10 times. We had a show in Denver, and I think the build up to it was like we had a show cancel, and we were like 14 hours away or some shit or something far. It was over 8. I feel like over 10. I feel like it was like a full fucking day of like going for it. And we make it to Denver. It was a big show. Shit, what was that band? They used to be Bows Out, and they ended up being, it'll come to me later probably, but they were there. Larry, long dreads, fucking cool ass dude. Bows Out from El Paso. I can't remember that one band. The Vow of the Unborn? The Vow of the Unborn. Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure that was it. So they're there. A bunch of cool people there. It was a cool show. But the promoter, he kind of looked like Linzig from Cephalic Carnage, like a younger Linzig. And he's friends with Linzig, I remember finding out, because I told Linzig about this. Linzig actually named me Machete Eddy, by the way. A lot of people don't know that. I did a tour, Summer Slaughter tour with Cephalic, and he kept calling me Machete, and I'm like, holy shit. Didn't realize that, And then I had a Metal Monday years later, and Machete Eddy's Metal Monday, and it just kind of stuck. But anyway, Denver, this fucking dude, he didn't know who we were. I don't know his situation. Trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, but he's a fucking douche. I wish I knew his name so I could be like, stamp it on this fucking video and be like, fuck this dude. But maybe we can figure it out after the fact. So we're on stage, and all of a sudden, the bass goes out, the vocals go out, the drums go out, and we see this fucking dude fucking with the mixer, like, just to be a D-bag. So I didn't even, I'm in the zone, kind of like whatever. And I have some drum videos from this show. Execration played that show, if I'm not mistaken. I was on his kit. So like, yeah, there was a lot about this show. It was a cool show. But this guy starts fucking with our mix. I hear Jesse go like, really, dude? And then he drops everything and kind of like, what's up? And now, I'm the least scary guy in the band, but I can handle myself. And I was to the point of standing up going, what the fuck? Like, I'm kind of like, there ain't no fucking way you're fucking dissing me and my band like that. Like, I'm fucking mad. So I know Isaac's fucking mad. And Jesse, who's the face of the band. And Scott, these are all bigger dudes than me. I'm 6 foot. These dudes are 6+ and like 30+ pounds heavier than me. All with a bad attitude for the most part. It's not a group of dudes I would want cornering me in a goddamn bar, pissed the fuck off. So it's like, it's one of those moments where like, this dude's fucking up. He thinks he's a tough guy. I don't know what the fuck he was thinking, but he's clearly fucking with us. And now it's like we have no sound. Now Isaac's taking his bass off, like, you know, charging him at the bar. So he was like, I remember another part of it, like he was playing games or whatever. Like I remember Jesse being like, "You're over there goddamn playing PlayStation instead of running your fucking show," and that's what pissed him off. So he like grabs his backpack and the show's over. I guess I think we were like the closing band, and Isaac's up in his face. Whatever the fuck you say when you're pissed off. Fuck you, I'll knock you the fuck out. All that dumb shit. I'm just kind of holding back, like, man, when this shit goes down, I'm gonna fucking crack this goddamn dude. Jesse and Scott are by the merch booth, and they're basically thinking, if this shit goes down, we need to get all of this merch out, because they had the goddamn, the fucking Brutal Band's merch, a billion CDs and like racks and racks of shirts, and like, it takes a minute to carry that shit out. And so they're thinking about that. They're kind of like over there. Isaac's about to fight. I'm behind him. And then as the chaos is starting to climax, there's a biker sitting at the bar. And he's trying to calm. He's like, "All right, guys, calm down. We don't need no problem here," or whatever. Being a cool biker dude. And the promoter, whose name I can't remember, who's a piece of shit, basically was like, "I'll call the fucking cops," to Isaac. And the biker like looks at him like, "Call the cops? You don't ever call the cops!" Punch right in front of my face, 2 feet away. Oh man, it was great. The dude had glasses on. He slung on his face. He didn't do shit, obviously. I mean, boom in the face. Talking shit. "I'll call the fucking cop." Plat. Doesn't do shit. Just picks up his glasses. The biker leaves. And for the most part, it dies down. That's all that ever really happens. Old boy gets punched. That's that. So as I'm outside, I realize some dude got pushed through the fucking glass next door. There's like this Irish pub. There's a fight over there too. Some dude gets busted through the glass. All these ambulances and fucking police are like, every goddamn cop and firefighter in Denver was in that parking lot that night. Blew my fucking mind. So in my head, I like on the way home, I'm kind of just like coming down from the whole thing, thinking, God, because if he wouldn't have got punched, I would have waited in the parking lot and fucked him up, 100%. I was in that moment, like, I'm not trying to scare this dude. I'm just gonna fucking catch his ass because he deserves it. Fuck this dude. And I'm thinking that. So like, if that would have happened, I would have like decked him or whatever, and then went across the street, waiting for everything to die down, and then them pick me up. But wouldn't it have been fucking hilarious if I did that and I'm waiting and all of a sudden I see like fire truck, police car, fire truck. Like I would think he fucking died. I don't know. I just thought that was fucking funny. So that was a crazy fucking night for sure. And it was a few of those in a row. So it comes down to, we're in Omaha, Nebraska. The only time I've ever been there. Playing our final show of the tour. And it was a so-so night. There was 20, 30 people there. I don't know. Nebraska, what do you expect? And they didn't pay us much, but they gave us a case of beer. I do remember. So we go to the hotel room, and we're drinking this beer, and of course, Isaac's slamming them. And I honestly don't have much of a memory, and this is literally the end of my memories of that tour, is he's in the corner talking shit. I'm standing up kind of by the door of the motel room, and he keeps just fucking like looking at me and shit. And I remember he said, "You're lucky I like you." And I'm like, I just finally was like, it was over. I did the tour. I don't have to put up with this. The only thing is that we're all hopping in a truck and heading home, so it's like I can't fucking stomp his jaw off his fucking face. But I was about to. I mean, in my head, I'm like, I'm going hard. And so anyway, yeah, lucky I like you. I go, or what? And he goes, "No, I said, you're lucky I like you. I'm like, yeah, but you're punching your goddamn hand. Like, what the fuck, dude? I'm tired of your goddamn shit. And honestly, I don't even know what I said. I just know that I was pissed. And honestly, I don't remember sleeping that night. I don't know how I slept that night. I don't remember the truck ride home. I don't remember the flight back. I imagine the ride home was just a bunch of silence while we all just brew about the whole fucking situation. I mean, we were all just ready to go. You know, it was a very long month for everyone. I mean, I can't believe that we literally did not fight physically with one another. It was tough. And man. So unfortunately it doesn't end there. So soon after that, almost immediately after that, is when I got asked to audition for Vital Remains. I was really kind of whoring out my Incinerate drum videos, the one from Denver that I was just talking about, and Scott Wiley, rest in peace, reached out and asked me to audition. And basically, yeah, that'll be another video, obviously, also, but got the gig and did some really cool stuff with those guys. But during that time, I think it was like a Pestilence tour or something. I had some, I don't think it was that one actually, but I had some tour role and we were supposed to go through Canada. And old boy hits me up on MySpace at the time, talking all this shit. I mean, apparently after we left, Brett realized there was like tons of food missing. So I guess Isaac was like eating up all the meat and shit and like just ate up a lot of his stuff. He's blaming it on me. Like, I didn't fucking eat the shit. Like, I don't know. But basically, they were going back and forth, Jesse and Isaac, about other shit that had happened along the way. And he's just like writing me this angry letter. And I just, whatever it said, I just remember it ended with don't ever come to Vancouver. And he had like blood coming out of his mouth, which I guess like bit his tongue. And it's probably real blood. The dude's fucking nutty. But my response is like, well, unfortunately, I will see you next month in Vancouver when I'm opening for Suffocation. So, which didn't end up playing out that way. I didn't end up. Someone I think couldn't get across the border. I had to cancel that show. So maybe I would be dead now. Who knows? I mean, if I would have butted heads with him. So that's pretty much the end of my history with Isaac. It was a 1 month ordeal. That little message. And I never saw or heard from him again. So I don't know if he's dead. I don't know what's going on with that guy. I kind of hope to know something, you know, figure something out through this. But to put a closer on this, because I got to wrap this up. I was playing for a while with I still do sometimes, the Stiff Neck Fools, which is my brother's reggae band. And I was 8 years later or so, I'm in some like Harvest Fest in Arkansas. It's where Wakarusa is. It's a big hippie mountain. And it's just thousands of people, big hippie fest. And I'm tripping on mushrooms. I'm walking around and I hear a familiar voice. And I'm like, what? And I look over and it's like the third or fourth stage. So it's just kind of like a tarped, like tent stage or whatever, but it's packed. And there's this dude giving this motivational speech. And I'm like, I'm tripping, so my vision's kind of like, but it sounds like Isaac. And I look, and it is Isaac. And I'm like, what the hell is happening? I remember just being frozen for like 2 straight minutes going, this dude is a motivational speaker now? Like, a hippie fest in Arkansas? Like, what is happening? It wasn't him. I was just tripping. But dude, it was like a nightmare of like, the emotion was so intense. I was feeling it like 150. I'm like, this fucking guy was so nutty. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there. I've realized doing this, it's pretty easy to fill up an hour talking about bullshit. There's a lot of stuff I left out. I'm probably going to have a follow-up episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to do more of these. This is far from the most exciting thing that happened on the road, but I figured it was a good starting point. And, man, check me out on YouTube. Like, subscribe. Machete Eddy. You can check me on Facebook, Instagram. I'm probably going to venture out on some other platforms because of this show here. But yeah, man, if you check this out, thank you very, very much. I hope to see you for the next one, and keep it real.